up my people, James Ford here, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're joined by my not so little brother Jordan. So if you've been following me on the gram, you'll know that I'm now back in Australia. So this will be my first leg session back. I'm going to be trying to provide as much value as I can, seeing if I can take this one for a ride. He's put on a lot of size since I last seen him, so we'll see how we go. But we're going to start with adductors, we'll then move into a couple of isolation movements. Then we'll get on to fun stuff, which will be the compounds. Interested to see how we go. It'll be the first time I've used a hack squat in about 6 months, because we've not got one in Thailand where I was living. But I'm going to take you guys through it. Like I said, provide as much value as possible, so stay tuned. Yeah. First, we've got adductors. Now, if you don't know what adductors are, it's this meaty chunk of muscle in there. And the reason we're going to do this first, primarily we're trying to make our legs look that little bit wider. So that's why we're chucking the adductor in there. We're going to do it first as opposed to at the end, because it's not going to take away massively from our compound lift. So what I mean by that is when we jump on the hack squat in a little bit, and when we jump on the leg press, this isn't going to take away much from that. But if we were to do this at the end, it would be massively impaired because we've done those compound lifts. So to be able to load our adductors up properly and to be able to progress them properly, we're going to place them at the start. So we're going to do 2 sets of this, both in the 10 to 12 rep range. We're then going to move on to some more isolation movement, and then we'll go into our big fun bang to the butt movements. I'll keep the videos short for these boring sets, and then we'll ramp up the ante a little bit once we get onto those compound movements. So let's get into it. Exercise number 2 is going to be a lion hamstring curl. So the reason we're going to put this here as opposed to at the end, sometimes I will put it after my compounds, but we're going to put it before today. Trying to bring up hamstrings, and most of you at home will be in the same position. Like, it's very easy to look at someone like myself and think, oh, he's got good legs. But the reality is a year ago, before I was working on my hams the way that I am, it was a very incomplete leg. It looks good from the front, it looks shit from the back. But most of you at home will be very quad dominant as well, if you even have legs, and that's like, it's not a call out, but a lot of people don't train their legs properly, and then when they do, skip the hamstring part. So just make sure that you're giving an equal amount of love to your hamstrings, and that might mean placing it before your compound lifts so they get the attention they need. So we're going to do 2 sets on this, we're going to do 2 sets in the adductor, then we're going to do 2 sets on a leg extension, and then we're going to jump into our compounds. We're now going on to a leg extension. So we've done the adductors, we've gone on to hamstring curls, we're going on to a leg extension. A lot of you probably go in straight into the compound movements, but the reason we're going to pop this one here is, one, to get a little bit of blood in the quads. It's going to make sure we're a bit safer on those compounds. It will potentially take away from our compound lifts, but when we look at a leg extension as an exercise, it's one of the only exercises where we can actually get our quads fully short. So when we're going for a movement, we want to go into that fully shortened range, and obviously the fully lengthened range as well. So when you think about yourself on like a squat or a leg press, when you lock out, you actually end up dropping all of that load off of your quads. So if you're on a leg press, for example, you lock out, your quads are actually going to disengage. As opposed to on this, we can actually go into that fully shortened range. Now, I've had a lot of issues in the past with leg extensions because of my knees. So a couple of tips for you guys is to make sure that this pad here is as far up your leg as possible. A lot of people have it right down on their feet, which is going to put a lot more tension and load through your knees. So we want to pull it up that little bit. Make sure that you're pointing your toes up as well, and that's going to protect your knee. So I also see a lot of people pointing their toes down, which is going to put your knee in a compromised position. So just raise that, and I promise you, if you're someone who's got old man knees like me, it's just going to make sure you're that little bit safer. So we're going to get into this one now. Yeah. I bet I sounded well moany then. Just got this mic on, I can hear myself like actually whining. Oh, looking lean though. Looking all right. Next up, we've got my favorite, which is hack squats. We're on to the fun stuff now. Obviously that work at the beginning, it's just accessory work, but it's so important to make sure that you're fully developing your legs. Like I said, I'm trying to provide you guys with value. It'll be very easy to come in here and just jump straight on the compounds and give you guys a show. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to teach you guys how to structure your leg sessions. So the adductor, the hamstring curl, leg extension. We're now only just starting our first compound. So I'm going to run 2 sets on the hack squat, one in the 6 to 9 rep range, one in the 10 to 12 rep range. Now, I'm not just going to jump straight on my working set. We're going to warm up. So I've done a warm-up set on 1 plate per side, on 2 plates per side, on 3 plates per side. I'm about to do a warm-up on 4 plates per side. And we're going to work up until I feel comfortable to go into that working set. So that might be, I'm going to guess it's probably going to be about 6 plates a side. I've not done this in a long time. I'm also going to run through some cues of what we want to be thinking about when we're on the hack squat, which I'm going to do in the next clip after my warm-up. So guys, I'm going to talk you through a few cues that you want to be looking for when you're on a hack squat. Now, once again, it's a movement, and when we're in the gym, if you're actually trying to get the most out of a movement, make sure that you're thinking about what you're trying to target. And on a hack squat, we're trying to target our quads. Now I see a lot of people popping their feet up here and going into kind of like that position at the bottom. And if you have a little look at between my legs here, if you want to come around, George, there's a big gap. We actually want to close that. The more closed we can get that, the more of a lengthened position we're going to put our quads into. So ideally we want to go into that fully flexed position with our knee, because this is going to allow us to get the most range of motion on our quads. Now, the solution to this, as opposed to putting your feet right up here, and putting your feet up here is going to be brilliant for your ego because you are going to be able to lift that little bit more, put your feet lower. Now, when you're setting your feet stance up, you're going to want to have it as low as possible while still allowing you to get into that movement. So, I mean, if you can get your feet off the pad, then by all means, that's probably going to put you in an even better position. But for the most of us, we haven't got that flexibility. So you want to find a nice sort of position where it enables you to go into that fully lengthened position of your quad, so as deep as you can, almost get your hamstrings to touch your calves, but in a position where it's not going to have to make you bend and twist into areas to make it happen, if that makes sense. So there is going to be a compromise, and everyone is going to be an individual. You just make sure if you're aiming for your quads, get your feet nice and low, ideally close together, but once again, for the flexibility standpoint, you probably want to point your toes out ever so slightly, and this is going to enable you to get the most activation of your quads, get the most growth from a movement like this. But we're going to go 6 plates aside. Haven't done this one in a little while. I'm going to get headphones on for it as well because big compound movement. Let's see how we go.
All right, so like James said, obviously going on to hack squat right now. I actually have been doing leg press at the minute because I've actually put my shoulder out, so I can't train really any upper body movements. So I'm a bit worried about having obviously that weight on my shoulder at the minute and obviously putting my arm up, but we're going to keep it light. We're going to obviously focus on the reps and just keep it slow. And yeah, let's just get into it. So now on to single leg press. James just finished the hack. I couldn't do another set on that. So onto this now. With this, I like to make sure that we're creating like a really sturdy stance. Obviously, it's a very isolation movement. So what I'm doing is making sure that I'm grabbing the pad beneath me, just like that. Obviously, just gripping that as hard as I can, and that really does create a very sturdy stance for the leg press.
Hack squat is done, and we're going to go on to our second compound. You notice as well, I've not been showing all of our sets, but we're just doing 2 sets per exercise. So we did 2 adductor, 2 hamstring curl, 2 leg extension, 2 hack squat. We're going to do 2 on a single leg press. I'm going to give you some cues for this as well. Now, the way that you put your foot placement on a leg press, single leg press, regardless of how you're running it, is going to bias what you're targeting. Once again, similar to the hack squat. So if you're someone who wants to target more hamstring and glute, go high and wide. Once again, if you're trying to target quads, think about trying to get that quad fully lengthened, so calf to hamstring, and then we want to go into that full ankle flexion as well. So foot up and into that. Your legs should fold almost if you want to go into that quad position, which is going to come from having a lower and more narrow stance. Once again, flexibility is going to come into this, so you as an individual, you're not going to be able to, potentially you might be able to put your feet right together and at the bottom because you won't be flexible enough to do it. I won't be anyway, so it's a matter of compromising for you. So we're going to go 2 sets on this, single leg leg press, quad bias, we're going to go relatively low, once again, based around my need, and this will be I think it's going to be a 6 to 9. I don't have my numbers, this is my first time training at this gym, so bear in mind we track our lifts week to week. I don't know what I would lift on this, so might get more, might get less. Let's see how we go. Leg press is done, guys. We're going to head on to one more hamstring movement. As you can see from the workout, it was a pretty quad dominant leg day, and obviously I was talking about earlier trying to bring those hamstrings up. So we're going to tag on a further hamstring curl at the end of the workout. So this should be a kneeling single leg hamstring curl. 2 sets on this one, and then we're going to go on to calf raises. Obviously you've got to hit those calves. You'll see in some of my workout videos, if you've followed me for a while, that a lot of the time I'll hit calves first, just once again, purely to bring them up, because they're a lagging body part for me, and otherwise they just get tagged on at the end. But we're going to crack on now. Battery's about 4%, so I won't talk too much through the rest of the workout. Just watch and learn. We're back from the gym. Apologies, camera died. Just one of those things. Idiot, didn't charge it up, but it's all good. It was just calf raises that you guys missed. I'm going to wrap the vlog up here anyway. Hopefully you guys took something from it. Hopefully you took some value from it. I feel like the vlog's going to be relatively short, so we'll see when we mash it up, but I'm trying to keep them short and sweet, straight to the point, giving you guys the value that you need, rather than just rambling on and on and on. If you did like the video, make sure that you hit the like button, comment, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Only 20% of my watchers subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow, and it means that you'll never miss another video. So I'll catch you guys in the next one.